So I want to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Just a heads up, I'm not going to go into like deep spoilers. Like, I'm not going to, go through every plot point in the story. I might mention some characters or like show some environments that would be considered a spoiler. So that's just a heads up for everyone. This is a game a lot of people were skeptical of. It's another superhero game published by Square Enix, and the last one left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. But this wasn't Crystal Dynamics. This was Eidos Montreal, different team, and this game surprised a lot of people, including myself. It was a lot better than I think people thought it was going to be. I think this is just a damn good adventure game, on top of it being an actual really good Marvel superhero game. So to start off, I want to talk about the characters. This was something that really surprised me because I wasn't expecting everyone's chemistry to be so well done and kind of so on point. The character designs were something that didn't really mesh with me when I first saw them. But as the game went on and I continued to spend time with these characters, I ended up really liking the character designs. I think Gamora looks the coolest. I would actually say that I think her design in the game looks better than the way she looks in the MCU. And I wasn't expecting just how emotional it was going to get. Like, from all the trailers and stuff, you can see that they were leaning hard into the comedy. And that was kind of something that was pushing me off from it, because it felt like it was trying to be too much of what James Gunn did with the movies. There are times where it does feel like that. It does feel like they're trying to go too hard into what made the MCU Guardians so popular. But I think overall they pulled off a good mix between that and kind of their origins from the comics. This team was very much, they took the MCU personalities and they took the comic origins and kind of put them together into this game, which was pretty cool. It was like a different twist on it. Star-Lord is still kind of, he's the 80s dude that listens to all the 80s music, just like in the movies. But his origin is that his father is the king of Spartax, and he is the heir to the throne. He's the prince of Spartax, which is from the comics, not from the movies where they made his father Ego the living planet. And so it was cool to see that, and they kind of do the same thing with everybody else's origins as well. And I thought it was a cool take. It was a cool take on everyone. There is moments, like I said, where they're kind of trying too hard with the comedy. Some of it misses, but I think overall they did a good job, and a lot of the jokes do hit, and it adds to the chemistry among everybody else in the team. But yeah, I wasn't expecting how much emotion it was going to add to the story. And speaking of the story, I think that's the strongest thing here, is this story that they were able to write and put together was really fucking good. It pulled from like deeper Marvel lore than I was expecting. There was a couple characters in here that I was not expecting to see. Some that, if you're only a fan of like the MCU stuff, you're not gonna know who they are. The story revolves around a certain group that is from the comics, and as it goes along, I was wondering how close they were going to stick to it, and they stuck pretty close to how they are in the comics and how the lore kind of goes. And there's also some characters in here too that are kind of Easter eggs, if you're familiar with the different eras of Guardians of the Galaxy in the comic books, like the different teams, the different lineups. It wasn't always Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, Gamora, Drax. There's been different lineups. The original team was a completely different list of characters. Going back to some of the emotional scenes in the game, some of them really caught me off guard. And what surprised me the most is the facial animation in this. It was like really spot on. Like you could tell what a character was feeling just from the expressions that were going on in their face. Which I thought was so well done. It's so hard to pull off good facial animation in video games, and this was something I wasn't expecting from this game, and I thought they did like an amazing job. Something else that really blew me away was the art direction. The art direction in this game is so stunning to look at. I like last year, I think the game that had the best art direction was Ghost of Tsushima. This year, I think it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Like it's insane what the art team was able to put together. Like some of these environments just look like they look astonishing. Moving through some of these worlds is just as fun as like the combat or anything else that you're doing in the game, because everything is so interesting to look at. A lot of it looks like concept art, almost like brought to life. Like when you see concept art of something, you can always tell like what the difference was between the concept art and then seeing it like actually come to life in the game. And in this, I felt like I was looking at like concept art while I was playing it, while I was walking through these environments and stuff. It looked like they did such a good job translating what the original idea was for these environments to bringing them to life, because they looked insane. Something else that they did a good job with was the song selection. There was a lot of good tracks in here, a lot of licensed tracks that I think was showing that Marvel money that they have. But I thought it was a really good lineup of songs. I liked this song selection more than what we got in the two Guardians movies in the MCU. This felt more like if they made the soundtrack for me. If they specifically chose the songs that they thought I would like, this is what that felt like. And they have everything from Def Leppard to Tears for Fears to Blue Oyster Cult. You put Blue Oyster Cult in anything, and I'm down for it. But getting down into the actual gameplay of it, you've probably heard a lot that it feels like Mass Effect, and well, that's because it does. It definitely borrowed a lot of things from the Mass Effect series. The exploration of different planets, the walking around your ship in between missions, getting to talk to your other members of the team, see how they're feeling. It's not as in-depth as something like Mass Effect, where you have dialogue options when you're talking to your crew around the ship. You have some dialogue options. Sometimes it's mostly to choose what you want to talk about next with them. You don't really get to choose what Star-Lord says to anybody. There are moments like that during like actual missions where you have to like make a choice kind of what Star-Lord says, or what like the next plan is for everyone. And the stuff of like what Star-Lord says, it's not always super important, but sometimes it does come around, and when it does, I thought it was good. I thought it was cool. It's more like what advantages and maybe disadvantages that are going to show up for you later on, depending on what you chose to do at a certain point in the game. Going to combat, I thought the combat was fun. Like it wasn't like super addicting or anything. It was just it was fun, and I thought they did a good job with it. Like you guys probably know already, you only play as Star-Lord. So you're mostly limited to your blasters, and I thought they did a good job with firing the way the blasters feel, because there's no ammo in this game. Your blasters just overheat and they have to recharge, but there isn't like an active reload. So when your blasters overcharge, there'll be like a little line that comes down, and if you press the right trigger at the right time, then it's like an instant recharge, so you don't have to wait for the cooldown. And then the blasters also have different elemental shots, which deal different types of damage to enemies, like fire, ice, wind, etc. And so besides his blasters, Star-Lord can also issue commands to the other Guardians, and that's where I think the combat really shines. You'll be fighting a group of enemies, and then you can call on Rocket to drop a bomb in the middle of everyone, and it blows everybody up, and it does a bunch of area damage. And then you could call in Drax to like just charge through a group of enemies, and they all go up flying in the air, and then you can just chain stuff together, and the damage kind of multiplies, and it's just really satisfying. There's also this mechanic during combat where you press the top bumpers during gameplay, and it's kind of like this super where Star-Lord kind of huddles everybody together, and you have to decide to give advice on how the Guardians are feeling during the fight. If you make the right decision, everyone gets like a double damage power up. If you make the wrong decision, only Star-Lord gets it. And it's always pretty obvious which one is which. And then when everyone does get the double damage, like a licensed track will start playing, which makes combat a lot more fun because now you're shooting people in the face while Don't Fear the Reaper is playing in the background. So it just kind of amplifies the whole gameplay. But man, I have to say, like, when I started playing this game, I did not think that there would be a boss fight with Fin Fang Foom while We Built This City by Starship is playing in the background. Like, I mean, come on, you trust me, this game is worth buying it just for that. There's also a good selection of alternate outfits in here. It's fun finding them in the environments. They're kind of hidden around every level, and it was pretty fun finding all of them. And I think the cool thing too is that when you're choosing your outfit, it gives you like a little summary like of the backstory behind the outfit, the year it came out, the comic that it's from, and who created it, which I think is really cool. If stuff like this gets more people into reading comics, then I think it's a win. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed my time with this game, and I think it surprised everyone for a good reason, because people thought this was going to be another Avengers, and turns out it wasn't. Turns out it was just a really good, well-made single-player adventure. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. Yeah, go play this game. It's awesome. See ya.